Look at this here, Against Intellectual Monopoly by Michael Boldrin and David K. Levine. Reading from the chapter, The Evil of Intellectual Monopoly, and the subchapter, The Patent Thicket. Starting at, paragraph 3. Pundits and lawyers call this navigating the patent thickets, and the whole literature, not speaking of a lucrative new profession, has sprung up around in the past 50 years. The underlying idea is simple and frightening at the same time. Thanks to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office policy of awarding a patent to anyone with a halfway competent lawyer, and as noted a moment ago, intellectual property lawyers have quadrupled. Thousands of individuals and firms hold patents on the most dispirited kind of software writing techniques and lines of code. The numbers are mind-blowing, particularly in the information technology and software sector. Nokia sits on 12,000 patents, while Microsoft is adding at least 1,000 a month to a mountain that is already more than 20,000 patents strong, and so on and so forth. As a consequence, it has become almost impossible to develop new software without infringing some patent held by someone else. A software innovator must therefore be ready to face legal actions by firms or individuals holding patents on some software components. A way to handle such threat is the credible counter-threat of bribing the suitor to court, in turn for the infringement of some other patent the innovative firm holds. And that was just one part of the amazing book called Against Intellectual Monopoly. And you see, patent laws are BS. They suck. They don't really do anything other than stop invention. And they cost incredible amount of dollars in legal fees and bureaucrat nonsense paperwork. And that is the exact reason why we have, well, open source software in Bitcoin, right? Because we Bitcoiners, we understand the power of ideas, that they are non-scarce good, that they can be shared freely and openly with anyone at no cost. If I have an idea, like I have right now, presenting them to you on this YouTube channel, I give it to you for free. Why? Because I still retain the original. I still got my mind and it's still working quite well. Not so much after like the long day we had yesterday here at Mises University, because guess what? It is stressful. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, but it is amazing. I enjoy every last second of it. So welcome back to day 2. We now have Tuesday in the Mises University, the best week of the year by far. Not even a question. Come on, guys. We're live from Auburn, Alabama at the Mises Institute, the most pristine institute for Austrian economics that there is. Well, yesterday was a fun day. We did 3 shows for you. First one was my introduction to this entire thing. The second one was a really short one. Just after the, or did we do 4 shows? No, I think we did 3. In the lunch break, didn't have much time, but we talked about stuff, you know, I introduced you to some of the students. And then later tonight, we did a late night Mises circle where we basically sat for a couple hours and just talked. I had with me Jimmy Morrison, the amazing creator of thebubblefilm.com. He's really good. He is pretty much an expert on monetary policy and what the business cycle and government intervention does to the economy. He made a movie. You should go watch it, at least the trailer. It's for free. And then we also had Kevin. Well, that's his name. And he does not have any social media or something because, well, he's a true anarchist. He realizes that social media is most of the time bullshit. Nevertheless, you know, social media is useful, so I'm kind of on it, mostly for Bitcoin news and to provide you the good content here live at Mises University. So we had a fantastic day yesterday, bunch of incredible lectures. You can go and watch them live at the Mises.org or the Mises Media YouTube channel. Get educated. The information is out there. All you need to do is actually, well, go out there and listen to it. And also to come back to intellectual property and to break the monopoly on it. That's exactly what the Mises Institute is doing. Why? The Mises Institute understands economics because they're smart guys, right? Because we are all here, right? The thing with intellectual property is it's bullshit. As I said earlier, ideas, information, music, A compliment is a non-scarce good. If I give it to you, I still retain the original, quote unquote, whatever that means. And the Mises Institute understands that. And so, for example, if you go to the amazing bookstore, which is just out there, where I grabbed this nice copy of the book just a second ago, well, this is a scarce good. You know, if I hand you this book, I no longer have it because I gave it away, right? But the content, want to join? But the content that is in this book is a non-scarce good, you know? Because if I read it and I give you the book, I still retain the information in my head because I've already read it. And that's the beauty. And the beauty of the internet and digital media, for example, a PDF document, is that it can be shared 1,000 times and 1,000 times over. And, well, at almost no cost, right? The Mises Institute gets that. So if you go to Mises.org, you will not only find a plethora of articles that are top-notch and up-to-date, several of them a day. You also find pretty much thousands upon thousands of books, ebooks, PDF documents, and also audiobooks. Why? They're digital. They can be shared at no cost, and that's exactly what the Mises Institute is doing. And if you want to get educated in Austrian economics, which is, in my opinion, the most superior form of economics, because, well, Keynesian economics is bullshit, and monetarism and Chicago school style is inconsistent, well, here you go. You're at the right place. You're at the Mises Institute live. Isn't that amazing? So we already talked about a bit about intellectual property. Now I got here the schedule of the next talks, and we're just going to go briefly over the next talks so that you can decide if you want to listen to them live at Mises Media, which I encourage you to absolutely listen to every single one of them. Why? Well, let's just get going with the first one. All those times that I'm going to read are, well, Auburn time, so calculate for your own time zone. At 9 o'clock, we're going to start with an amazing lecture by Mr. Stringham called The Fable of Leeches, or Why Economists Are Wrong to Assume That Market Requires Contract Enforcement. Guess what? We are all free human beings, and we are all free individuals. And this means that if we interact in a voluntary exchange, both of us are better off, right? I like the banana more than the loaf of bread. You like the loaf of bread more than the banana. If we exchange, we're both better off. Win-win situation, right? Nobody needs to introduce force and violence. Why? Because force and violence is bad, and you should not do it. Especially aggressive force, right? You should never aggress against someone else. And if someone aggresses against you, you have the right to defend yourself, right? That's where the Second Amendment comes in, the right to bear arms. Really important. Oh, you got that in America. We definitely, for 100% sure, don't have the right to protect ourselves in Germany. Hitler took that away a long time ago, never gave it back, that bastard. Next question, Joseph Salerno? What? Come on. If you don't know about Joseph Salerno, Google him. It's amazing what that guy does. He studied with Rothbard. Hello. I mean, everyone who has met Rothbard, you should probably listen to. Calculation and socialism. Fantastic, fantastic argument. And, well, this is basically the argument that Mises put out. He wrote this phenomenal book, which I highly encourage you to read, called Socialism. And he goes over the calculation problem. He says it doesn't matter if government has all the information in the entire market. You know, they know what you like, they know what I like, which of course is a fallacy because I do not know what you like because you're eating, right? But even then, the government create prices. Only, and I repeat, only arise in free exchange. So if two individuals are going to free exchange something, we know the value to those two individuals marginally. We know that the one guy liked the one thing better than his dollars that he gave up. So the price of the good is going to be the dollars that he gave up. We can only say that in a free market with prices, then we usually start to, well, ration the goods because we live in a scarce world. You know, if I give you my book here, you have the book, I no longer have it. So we have to somehow ration who is going to get it. There can only be one owner of a scarce good at any time. And that's when prices come in. Government cannot create prices. So they cannot ration the goods. They cannot allocate them to the most needed area. And that's a pretty shame, right? Next lecture is, oh, that's interesting. We have concurrent session. So there will be one video that is going to be live streamed Yes, and that is an incredible, incredible lecture, which is Rothbardians, which is me, versus free bankers and fractional reserve banking. Interesting stuff. Rothbard has an amazing work on monetary policy. Well, number one, read Man, Economy, and State. It's like amazing in every regard. But more importantly, read also What Has Government Done to Our Money? Super accessible, just 180 pages, goes over monetary policy and what the government has done to it, right? Because the current monetary policy sucks pretty bad. But also he has a nice book on the mysteries of banking. Why? Because Keynesian economics is convoluted as hell, and monetary policy of the Chicago style is even more convoluted. And Rothbard demystifies it in his amazing, brilliant argumentation style. Go out and read it. It's available for free at the Mises Institute at Mises.org. So this is definitely going to be an amazing lecture. I personally cannot attend, but 100% I'm going to watch the recording. Obviously, right? Because I will be attending, and I'm really excited for that. That is, oh no, actually we have one more that there will be a recording of, but not a live stream. There will be an audio podcast called The Austrian Alternatives to Conventional Economic Statism. Oh, no, statistics. Because look at that. The Keynesian economics think that you can prove everything in a model, right? And that you can say that, well, we have a model here and we put some inputs there and some numbers and we have to assume some things, but eventually it's just all going to work out. Well, not so much. That's why Keynesian economics kind of sucks, because they do assume a lot of things. On the contrary, Austrians only assume that humans act. That's it. That's the only assumption that we have to make. That's the fundamental axiom. Mises wrote a good book on this called Human Action. Guess what? That's his treatise. So it's really important. Humans act. But we all do, right? I'm acting right now with speaking to you. You act right now with listening to me. But there's still some mathematics in Austrian economics. It's not much. Basically, it's statistics. I'm interested to hear that lecture. I haven't heard it yet. Check out the audio podcast. But then it's going to start with the class that I'm going to attend, all happening at 11 o'clock. And this is going to be a spicy one. Judge Napolitano, the one and only, the legendary not Supreme Court judge, hopefully soon to be Supreme Court judge, but he is a natural law guy. He is a non-aggression principled lawyer. He believes in the Constitution, but sees many flaws in it. And, well, the lecture is going to be week-long. What? Not just one lecture, but I think 6? That's going to be amazing. It's called The Constitution and the Free Market. Isn't that amazing? It's part 1 of, I think, 5 or 6. So we're going to talk about, well, guess what? The Constitution. And it's going to be maybe a bit technical, a bit lawyerish, but it's the judge. And he is amazing in what he does. So that is really nice. I'm so much looking forward to that. Then we're going to have lunch. There I will be here talking to you live on what happened so far. Maybe get some people up here to talk with me. Who knows? At 1 o'clock, Mr. Herben is going to talk about the theory of interest. What is interest rates? Well, interest rates are actually time preference, I could use my own money right now, but I don't have it. So I have to borrow it because I do not want to postpone my consumption. I could just wait for a year, save up a little bit of my money, and buy the good later. But no, I want to have it now. I have a high time preference. This means I want to have the stuff as fast as possible in my hand. I want to satisfy my uneasiness as fast as possible. And if I don't have, well, the capital myself, well, then I have to borrow it, right? And that's where interest kicks in. So interest is, you could say, the purchasing price of money, or sorry, the price of money. So how much is money worth right now if I pay it back in a year? Or you could also say, well, it's a time preference, If the interest rate is really, really low, then we know that we have a high time preference. People want to consume. Well, I don't like that much. And guess what? Who also doesn't? Jörg Guido Holzmann. And he has an amazing lecture. I think he also put out an article. I don't think he has a book on this, called The Cultural Impacts of Fiat Money, which is exactly what is he going to talk about. What happens if we have such a loose monetary policy that incentivizes you to consume non-stop, on end, all the time? Amazing man and amazing lecture. Go out there, find it on YouTube. You will. It's easy. So then 2 p.m. Another kind of choosing thing. You will have the availability of the live stream of Free Trade versus Protectionism by the great Miss Dorobat, who also gave a lecture yesterday, which was amazing. And so this one tells you, should we have free trade? You know, should we allow free human beings to interact voluntarily with each other to exchange their goods and services? Or should we force them not to? I mean, if you put it like that, you know, it is kind of simple. And I would argue that in every shape or form, as soon as the action is voluntary, as long as nobody is getting hurt, as long as anything is peaceful, another great book, it's okay. It's your right to do it. You're hurting nobody, so just do it, you know? But as soon as you say, well, okay, technically you're not hurting anyone, but I personally don't like what you are doing, so I'm going to kick your butt and make you stop with the voluntary action that you're doing. No, that's bullshit. That's not what we like, because that is aggression, that is violence, and that's what we want to end, right? We want to live in a free society here. Next lecture at 2 p.m., there will be an audio recording. It's by Dr. Stringham. Oh, this one is a good one. Markets and private governance. Interesting, because what do we have in Bitcoin? Private governance, right? So if you're interested in how we can govern ourselves, not by force and aggression and violence as the government is doing it, but by peaceful cooperation with free human individuals, well, living together, because that's what we do all the time, right? We need to govern us somehow, but we just shouldn't do it violently. So that's going to be definitely an interesting lecture. Unfortunately, I cannot attend, but there will be an audio lecture somewhere on Mises.org, maybe on the YouTube channel. You have to find that out. But I will be attending the second seminar by the judge called The Constitution and the Free Market. And guess what? We're going to talk more about the Constitution and the free market, right? Isn't that amazing? Then we have, again, 3 amazing lectures at the same time. So you have to choose. Good thing is that there will be an audio recording of all of them, and 2 of them will be live streamed, so you have all the time to watch it and rewatch it in the future. First one by Dr. Klein, Competition and Monopoly. Isn't that nice, right? Should we let people, free individuals, compete on the free market as long as it's voluntary? Or should we force them to not enter the market, although they have done nothing wrong, which a government monopoly is? Interesting thing, a monopoly is not a single firm on the market. That's not what a monopoly is. It has nothing to do with the quantity of firms in the market. No. A monopoly means, in the Austrian sense, that somebody is restricting the entrance to the market. So we have a free market going on, and maybe there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 companies, doesn't matter. But then a government comes in and says, well, those companies, they can do what they're doing, you know, I like them. They maybe bribe me, they maybe pay their taxes, you know, which is theft. And, you know, they can do what they're doing. But you, no. You do not have the right to engage in a voluntary and peaceful interaction with your customers, which is bullshit. Find out more about monopolies and the free market. So the next one. Okay, we have Mr. Gordon, Robert Nozick, Anarchy, State, and Utopia. So this is going to be a lecture with a live stream that talks about the amazing book by Robert Nozick called Anarchy, State, and Utopia. Really interesting, because, well, anarchy is freedom, right? We just say, don't hurt each other. That's anarchy, basically. I don't think that's too hard to achieve. I hope so, because if it would be hard to achieve, I would pretty much lose faith in humanity a bit. Well, then we have a state. You know, a state says, well, peaceful interaction, it's nice, but state, the government bureaucrats don't really have to do that. So if for the common good, you know, for the public good, I think that your actions are wrong, I can force you to stop. Is that good? Is aggression ever good? I don't think so. And then the last one is Utopia, which is basically communism. Communism means that the state, the government bureaucrats, force everyone to give up everything that they own and give up the control of everything that they used to own. And this basically ends in chaos every single time. There has not been one historical account where communism worked if more than 150 people were involved. Why? It pretty much sucks to be stolen of everything. And it sucks to be equal to everyone. We're all unique and individual human beings. And we all have different ideas. And we all live different lives and have different preferences. And if someone comes and forces us to do something that we do not like, just to be equal to everyone else, that's just theft. And it only works in utopia. It only works in a model, in a theoretical construct. It does not work with free human beings. Why? Because we are free. Nobody can force us to do anything. I cannot force you to raise your arm. That's just impossible. You own your body, you control your body, and you are a free being. So do whatever you like until it is no longer peaceful. But if it is peaceful and voluntary, do whatever you like. So, third lecture of this at concurrent session will only be available as an audio podcast, but you should definitely go there and check it out. It's called, it's by Mr. Butos, and it's called The Government, Funding, and Science. Interesting, because government, well, how do they fund themselves? Number one, they can be productive. Have you ever seen a government bureaucrat done something productive? I for sure haven't. I think it's impossible. So they can't really do that. What else is there? They can steal the money directly from people, which is taxation. They do that quite a lot, right? And the third one is they can inflate the money supply and give the money to themselves, which is what they're doing right now with something called quantitative easing, low interest rates, fractional reserve banking, all that kind of stuff we're going to talk about in the next couple of days. And well, that's also stealing, because you take away the purchasing power from the savers and you give it to yourself. That's just as bad as stealing a dollar bill. Come on, what are you doing? Don't steal from people. It's that simple. But, well, okay, so what does the government do? Is it going to do funding? And if yes, like, is it going to fund the good stuff? Like the projects that we actually want to have? Maybe, maybe not. I for sure don't think so. And also science. What happens if we let the government control the science? All the universities out there are controlled by the government. Is that good? Is that bad? Well, I mean, we're here at the Mises Institute, of course, a private institution of free individuals working together freely and voluntarily. And well, they get funded by donors, people that have been to the Mises University back in 1983 when it was founded by Mr. Rothbard and some others. You know, Joseph Schillerner was there. Lou Rockwell was there. So, Hayek was there. Come on, man. This institute is legit. And, well, everything here is voluntary. Nobody's being forced to be here. I'm voluntarily here because it's amazing. Of course I would. Well, but if government forces people to do science and forces people to work on the stuff, well, first of all, most likely they're going to work on some weapons because that's what the government likes to do, you know, violate people, aggress against people, kill people, war. That's what the science is going to do, you know, Manhattan Project, atomic bomb, that kind of stuff. That was funded by stolen money of the government. Yay, is that good? Do we want atomic bombs? Do we want to have electronic magnetic weapons? I don't think so. I for sure don't. Okay, next one at 4 p.m. Oh, there we have it. Jörg Guido Hülsmann, one of the great economists here. Read The Ethics of Liberty. Ethics of Liberty is by Rothbard. Read that also. By Hülsmann, read The Ethics of Money Production. Phenomenal, phenomenal. I asked him, he will be on the show later this week. Absolutely, that is going to be amazing. So he's going to have a fantastic talk on the economics of fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking, what is that? Well, basically means you have a money warehouse, you know, a bank. And you put, let's say the money is gold, because that's easy to explain with. So you have a gold coin, and you put that gold coin in the bank. The bank will give you a paper receipt that says at any time, without any notice, you can come to us again and get back this gold coin. Sounds legit. You know, you don't always want to carry your gold in your pocket. It's kind of loud, it's kind of heavy, it's not really that useful. Better to have a paper receipt, right? But with fractional reserve, the bank can not only give one certificate that says that the one coin can be gotten by the owner of the paper certificate at any time, it can issue 100. So one person puts one gold coin in the bank, and then 99 other persons can come to the bank and say, hey, I would like to take a credit. And this credit can be paid with this one gold coin in the middle 100 times over. So effectively, the bank is creating money, a gold certificate that should be backed one-to-one out of thin air. Isn't that bad? And guess what happens? If one of those persons comes to the bank, one of the 100, right? Comes to the bank and demands the gold coin, the 99 persons pretty much don't have anything backing in them. Like in the bank, you know? There's nothing there. And that creates the so-called bank run. If you want to find out more, watch the lecture live by Guido Hülsmann on the economics of fractional reserve banking. Interesting. Afterwards, we here at live at the Mises Institute, like in person, have the privilege of going to the faculty office hours. And there are, so it's basically, you know, 30 hours, 30 minutes, half an hour to an hour, roughly, where you just talk to the professors about whatever. Mises Institute is amazing. Mises University is even better. So that is fantastic. So then I think that's it. That was the day. We're going to have some social hour afterwards. And yeah, just do stuff, I guess. Yeah, the next thing is Wednesday. Great thing is karaoke. So if you want to hear Robbie Murphy sing karaoke, you should come to Auburn, Alabama tonight. Maybe I'm gonna sing. I don't know yet. I guess karaoke, you need to be on some form of stimulation, either alcohol or something else. So let's see. Maybe not. Well, I've already talked for like 25 minutes, so let's get to your questions. So let's see them in the chat. Let's scroll up. Okay, what are you asking? The Crypto Squanch says, every day I wake to Austrian Economics. This is the world we have been waiting for. Exactly. You're absolutely right. Austrian Economics is fun, actually. It's fun to talk about liberty. It's fun to talk about freedom. Why isn't it being done? Because the government controls universities, right? We talked about that. There's a lecture later today. They control on what you can learn. They control on how you can get educated and on which topics you can get educated. Do you like that? Do you like being told what to do? I for sure don't. So, well, I think the Mises Institute is going to break that monopoly, right? They are, okay, Russell says, I mean the government, are full of shit. Yeah, they are. Making excuses for this exploitative system. Support democratically run worker cooperative and fire the boss. Okay, well, I mean, that statement is pretty much communist, right? Not saying that, not saying anything against you, Russell, but I'm just saying that statement. So you say support democratically run worker cooperatives and fire the bosses. So what about democracy? In a democracy, you get a bunch of people together, you vote on who you're going to aggress against. That is what democracy is. So I guess you just come together and you say, we don't like the guy, we're going to shoot him. But 75% of us raised our hands, so we definitely, we are in the majority, so we can just shoot him. And that's what democracy is. Democracy is just a fancy way of disguising aggression by the state and giving the voter, the public, the citizens, the illusion of choice and the illusion of control. But nevertheless, it is still aggression. And I'm not against the state per se. I'm against aggression and violence because I think we're free human beings, right? So I don't think that is that good. And then he also said that we should support the worker cooperatives and fire the boss. Well, absolutely, man. Workers are important, They provide, of course, a valuable resource, which is their time, their effort, their human ingenuity, their skills. And they're absolutely important. But realize that in a free society, they will be paid. They will be paid just as much as they will provide. And that's how just a free economy works. And but there's a difference between the boss, the owner of the company, and the worker. Why? The worker is not tied to the company. He can leave at any time. He did not invest in the company. He does not own any stake in it. He just works for it. The owner, though, he is an entrepreneur. He brings together, by the way, watched a lecture on entrepreneurship yesterday. He brings together all the resources in the economy, bundles them together, and makes an end product for the consumer. That's the job of an entrepreneur. That is risky because you know what? The entrepreneur has no idea what the consumer wants to have tomorrow, let alone in 10 years, which many products have long production stages, right? So the entrepreneur takes on immense amount of risk and he spends immense amount of capital. And that obviously has to be rewarded. So there's a difference between workers and entrepreneurs, owners of the business. But guess what? That's not bad. In a free society, we're all happy because all we do is voluntary. And if the workers voluntarily decide to choose for the boss, what's wrong? They chose it voluntarily. So are you going to say, well, yeah, you choose voluntarily, you want to do this, but I forbid it to you. I'm actually going to fire you, boss, who's paying you your wage so you can feed your children. And I think that that's good. You want to join?
Yeah, we need to use this room real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, I guess that was it. We have, look over here who we have. Come on. Judge Napolitano.
To whom am I speaking?
To the internet. We're the World Crypto Network. A bunch of content creators talking about Bitcoin, talking about liberty.
God love you.
That is amazing. Guys, that's who we're going to talk to. Isn't that amazing? Hopefully he's going to be on the show. I don't know if he has time.
If you want
Maybe.
me, I'll be there.
Oh, yes. That is amazing, isn't it? Okay, guys, I think I have to go. They are throwing me out there. Horrible. Well, I was kind of an anarchist and didn't ask for permission to be here on this day, so I guess that's okay. Guys, thank you for listening. Support the World Crypto Network. Most definitely support the Mises Institute, Bitcoin donation in the link below. And, well, have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.